This week on the show, a report from Vidcon, a vulgar teddy bear dominates the box office, and Tim releases his brand new ebook. All this and more on Behind the Video, episode number 10. This episode of Behind the Video is brought to you by the Independent Media Network. The Independent Media Network helps journalists and content creators create their own jobs by building sustainable online businesses. If you're an unemployed or underemployed journalist or content creator, visit imnct.com for more information. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 10 of Behind the Video. This is great. We've gone for 10 weeks straight here and very excited to see where things develop. This morning we got on Stitcher Radio, so if you are a Stitcher fan, we're now part of your whatever they call it. You can download us and stream us or whatever else you do on there, you can do. Joining me today, as always, is my lovely co-host, Tim Street. Tim, how are you?
Doing well, Lon. Good to see you.
Good to see you. It looks like a beautiful day there in L.A.
It's pretty nice. The weather's just been gorgeous. I know the rest of the country's suffering, but I can see why so many people live in L.A. on days like today. And we have a guest on the show.
We do have a guest, and she is not suffering in the weather because she's here in Connecticut with me, but 45 minutes up the road, sitting in the dark for some reason, though. I don't know why.
I know.
But is Sarah Miner with the Independent Media Network, and she is also an occasional correspondent on WNPR in Connecticut as well. So welcome, Sarah.
Howdy.
So why is it so dark in there?
Because this is how the suffering part of the country lives, in the dark.
Well, that's good. At least you're feeling their pain. So now Tim has been incredibly busy, so we've got a lot to talk about this morning. And the first is VidCon, which Tim, you said for the show that it was bigger than anyone expected.
Yeah, VidCon was huge, about 8,000 people, and it was crazy. I mean, they had your traditional convention seminars, things like that. They had a trade show floor, which was huge. They also had an arena area that seated about 2,000 people, and it was crazy. About every 5 minutes, a new act would get up, whether it was a band, whether it was a comedian. They were all YouTubers, and they'd get up on stage every 5 minutes, and they'd do something new. And like the guys from Smiley got up, and they're like, "Hey, we know you guys love the show, blah, 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 blah. We have a little trailer for you." And they play this trailer of a horror movie, and there's all these teenage girls, 13, 14 years old, just screaming. I mean, screaming like the Beatles every time Shane Dawson appears in this trailer. And you think it's going to be like a mock trailer, like a parody of a trailer, but it's actually a trailer. They're doing a movie. They're doing a YouTube movie. And so just look up Smiley the film, check it out. It's pretty cool what they're doing. And it's kind of a clash of traditional Hollywood horror film meets YouTubers. And it looks like it's going to be killer.
And it's going to get a lot of built-in fans right off the bat. And if the decibel levels are any indication there, it's going to be pretty popular.
And there was a lot of money put into YouTube, into VidCon. I mean, it used to be, it was just a bunch of people, bunch of YouTubers meeting up at a hotel. This was at the Anaheim Convention Center across the street from Disney. Disney was a sponsor, which shocked me. YouTube was a sponsor, and then all the regulars, Blip, Machinima, all the people that really, Revision 3, all the folks that make money off of YouTube were sponsoring, and there were big parties. Blip had a huge party, and YouTube had a party. YouTube was also meeting with partners. So if you're a YouTube partner and you had questions, you could schedule time, sit down with them. They also had some seminars that were more like group therapy. It's like a circle of like 12 chairs, and you'd sit down and go, "Hello, I'm a YouTube partner. Oh, welcome.
Here's my woes, right?
Yeah.
They're stealing my revenue again."
Yeah, so, everybody was, complaining and moaning, and they'd listen and nod their head and ask questions, and, it was really interesting, and it was so much fun to be around so many other people that are doing what we are doing, that are making independent content and trying to make a living at it, and it was just fun to see that going on.
And what was the highlight, Tim?
Well, I would have to say that running into a lot of my friends, including somebody who's been on the show, Bernie Sue. Bernie Sue has a hit new show on YouTube called The Lizzie Bennett Diaries, and it's a modern-day version of Pride and Prejudice, and the young women love it.
I'm going to
And
write that down.
I got to see Bernie take the show around, and he had the cast of the show with him at Vidcon, and they would walk 5 feet, and they would get stopped, and then a line would form, and they'd have to do photo op and autograph signing, and then once they did a session, they did a panel with the cast. And it was great. Bernie had orchestrated this thing perfectly. It was so amazing to watch him do it. He welcomed everybody, had the cast out there, and then he opened it up to audience questions. And once they started asking the questions, they were like, "Well, when are we going to see a new clip about this?" Because they know what happens in the book. So and he's like, "Well, I'm glad you asked." And then he plays the clip. Like he just totally knew they were going to ask that question. And then the question comes, "Well, there's other characters in the book. Are you ever going to cast those characters?" And he's like, "Well, I'm glad you asked." And he brought the new cast members out on stage, and they just went wild. It was it was just great to see. It was so much fun. It was definitely one of those you had to be there moments where it's just like, and knowing Bernie and hanging out with Bernie for years now, it was just fun to see him just shine. And, he deserves it. He's worked really hard at this show for a long time, and the fans were mobbing him and taking his photos, and it was just crazy. It was so much fun. That, for me, that was the highlight of the show.
And do you think with Disney as a sponsor, did you hear of a lot of people perhaps beginning those relationships and beginning those talks to take their content off YouTube and going somewhere else with it?
Well, I think Disney's taking content and putting it on YouTube, and that's why they were sponsoring. They're looking for creators who want to have the Disney name associated and have properties that are family friendly and really appeal for the Disney brand. And so they're looking for those YouTubers that are up and coming, that are building that audience, and there's a lot of other people out there looking for them too. Maker Studios, Big Frame, Full Screen, The Collective. These are all companies that are like band. They bring YouTubers together, and then they help them with marketing and promotion and all the stuff that YouTubers aren't savvy to. YouTubers know how to do YouTube.
And of course, and we're seeing now a lot of YouTubers are doing a lot more professional content. If someone's listening, wanting to be the next Bernie Sue, what do you have to do to get the content, the budget for the content? Is it something? Obviously, he has actors, he has some expenses.
Well, I mean, with Bernie, it was really Hank Green who, is one of the brothers behind VidCon. Hank funded Bernie's project. So Hank actually came to Bernie. They were at a convention, and they were talking, and they just started talking about different projects, and somehow Pride and Prejudice came up, and they wound up doing it. So the original idea was Hank Green's, and Hank's been involved in the show as well, but Bernie's really the showrunner on a day-to-day basis because Hank's busy running VidCon.
Right, that's
and other
no
things
small,
too.
exactly. No small task given the millions of people that showed up there. And Bernie is actually our first guest on the show, or maybe our second guest, but on the first episode. So if you go back in our archives, you can check out the interview with Bernie where he talks about his production and his excitement around it too, which was really fun to listen to. So now, Tim, you also have been doing other things this week with video, and that is a new ebook that just hit the store. So why don't you talk about that a little bit? I'm going to go get it and show it to the camera here in a second.
Yeah, so, for a long time I've been wanting to tell a story that allowed you to, read and to look at photos, look at graphics, and watch video. And I attempted to do this about 10 years ago with different projects on the internet, and I was able to build an audience, but I wasn't able to monetize the content directly. I was able to get studios to hire me to build websites like that for them, like for the movie Fight Club. I did a website, and but I came up with this idea. It's looking a little shifty there.
I think we might have to do this in post.
You went to a white page.
Yep.
So what what it is there you go. So you can kind of navigate through the book. There you go. You got it. So you're going through the index right now. But you page through the book. It's a normal book, and then you watch videos. And this is a story about a woman who, back in 2001, was jilted, and she built a website of revenge to get back at her married lover who had dumped her. And she stalked him. She caught him with other women. She posted all that online, and then after 4 million people came to the site, it was hacked down, and she hasn't been seen from since. So this story, Vids, is available on the iPad, and it's a story of what happened to her.
Now talk about the production a little bit, because this is a book, but you had production, you had actors and video, and it's really remarkable. So what did it take to make this?
Yeah, so what I did is I really went about it in, thinking about it in how can I keep the production costs as low as possible. So it's all shot with home video cameras because that's what the characters would use to go stalk the, in real life somebody wouldn't be shooting with the red camera, they'd be using a home video camera. And so that's what the main character Hartley does, is she shoots a surveillance video and only uses it as the way home video would be used, or hidden cameras would be used. And so that, I didn't have to pay for a camera crew or rent cameras or anything like that. And all the lighting in it is done with lights that you would find in hotel rooms or condos or houses. And all the locations were hotel rooms, condos, or houses, or outdoors. Nothing was shot on a soundstage. Priceline was my best friend. And yeah, so it was a lot of fun shooting it. And it was, it took a while. It took me about 10 years to finish this project, but it was a lot of fun working on it. And I wish I knew who it was. Somebody like last year said to me, whatever you were working on 10 years ago, take another look at it. If it didn't work, take another look at it and see if there's a way that you can monetize it now. And I'm so glad I heard that, because that's what made me rejuvenate this project. And I think it's going to be a new way for a lot of independent web series creators to monetize their content, because you've got a cash register at the iTunes store.
And Tim,
sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
How did you decide, as far as content, when it was appropriate to insert a video, or when the pictures were appropriate as far as keeping the continuity of the story?
Right. Well, the whole thing was built in my mind as a website that she built to taunt this guy. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I approached the story, was as he discovers the website, he's looking at it, and you're looking at it with him. And so that's how you go through the book through his lenses.
Do you think the fact that it's based in reality is attracting more people than if it was fictional?
Well, it is fictional.
Well, yeah.
And so the lines are blurred here, and I'm getting calls and emails from people already. They're like, "So how come I didn't hear about this when it happened back in 2001?" And I'm like, "'Cause it wasn't real." They're like, "No, the stalking part, was it because of the war broke out, the Gulf War, that 9/11 nobody was talking about?" I was like, no, it's fiction.
You could have the next War of the Worlds here, where everybody thinks it's real and they try to figure out who the lobbyist is, right?
Yeah, I mean, War of the Worlds is one of my favorites. I'm a big Orson Welles fan, and I would have to say the whole War of the Worlds thing is what really got me interested in storytelling and blurring the lines between fact and fiction. I just love it. I was a big fan of Lonely Girl and other projects that I was doing back in 99, 2000, also blurred the lines between reality and fiction, and it's not until now that I really see a way. In fact, when I tried to do this kind of stuff back in 2001, I signed up for Google AdWords, and at that time you had to fill out an application.
Right.
And they looked at the site, they called me up, and they're like, "What are you selling?" I'm like, "Oh, this is a new interactive story." And they're like, well, yeah, but what's your website? And I'm like, it's an interactive story. And they're like, yeah, sorry, you can't have Google AdWords.
Oh, really? So they
Yeah.
weren't keen on the whole thing yet, right?
They didn't get it.
If only they knew then, because
Yeah.
that, Apple and Amazon have kind of dominated this whole interactive story component, where they're collecting. Now, Apple's taking what, 30%?
Yeah, it's a 70-30 split, and you can sell your book in 32 different countries, and it doesn't have to be in that country's language to sell it there. So I'm selling this book in English in 32 different countries right now.
And you think about the distribution problems you had 10 years ago, pushing a gig of video on top of all the text and everything else. There really wasn't a standard format. There wasn't a tablet to read it on. There wasn't all of those things, and now we have all of it, including the broadband connection to make it work. So it's kind of exciting. I think back a little bit with some of these books to maybe the story-based CD-ROMs that we had back in the mid '90s, but again, there was hardware issues and distribution problems, and I think the iPad format is a lot more compelling because it is so much more personal, like a book is. So was some of this footage shot 10 years ago, Tim, or did you shoot new footage for now?
No,
oh, wow.
it was shot. Our first day of casting was actually on September 11th.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long project, and it's fun to actually see it out.
That's great, and we hope sales will go through the roof, and we'll certainly talk a lot about that book. I'd love to hear your experiences as this develops and as the customer base builds, and I'm sure there's probably going to be some interaction with your fans over this too. So we'd love to hear how this begins to percolate over time. So it must
we'll
feel good
see.
to get it out.
I just hope I can infect other video creators to go out and do an ebook where they make up their own thing with their own video and make some money on it.
And one last question before we move on. Was the development hard to do? Did you do it yourself? Did you hire somebody? What are some of the tips you'd say for people?
iBook Author, it's an app that you download from Apple. The price is a little sketchy. It's free. So you have to deal with that aspect of it.
Right.
But if you're familiar with Keynote, you're going to love iBook Author. Go make a book and get it on the iBook store.
That's fantastic. Well, Tim,
great.
Congratulations. It's really exciting it must feel so liberating to finally get this thing out after all this time, right?
Yeah,
so it's,
for sure. And to have it the way that I envisioned it, that's nice.
So when iBooks came out, the light bulb must have just went off, right?
Yeah, and I was like, well, one day when I figure out how to become a programmer, I'll make one. And then iBook Author came along, and it was a done deal.
It's really easy. I'm going to write a book about something. I don't know what yet.
Write a book about writing a book.
I think I might do that, about writing a book.
Because they always say never write about writing. So.
Yeah, there's an untapped market, so we're gonna do that. Sarah can help me.
Yeah.
Get some money rolling in here. So let's talk about money rolling in. And a surprise at the box office this week, the movie Ted swept first place, $54 million. It's about a teddy bear. It's a live-action film with a teddy bear who swears. It's most of what I know about it. Although I think
what the f is up with that?
So this is the guy that did Family Guy, right? He's done a movie now.
Yeah, Seth MacFarlane does the voice of the bear, and Marky Mark's in it. Does anybody call him Marky Mark anymore?
Yeah,
I still do.
He probably kicked my butt.
Like he would kick your butt, and mine too.
He's a tough guy.
He's a tough guy.
It doesn't look like an interesting movie to me at all. The trailers just were not. So I mean, obviously, it's doing great.
It's a good. I think it's going to be a great rental, so it'll probably do well at the box office. They probably thought it would do okay, but it's clearly he has a fan base that follows him around and talks about everything he does. And
Seth MacFarlane's got a big following.
And I think that's probably what's driving this one for sure. So second place was Magic Mike, and our producer Jason Perrier asks, how did a talking bear movie beat out a movie made for a girls' night out? So it did. Magic Mike, and by the way, that dinging is my Twitter feed going off here on my iPad. I'll try to turn off the sound here. So clearly surprising a lot of folks today. Brave is in at number 3. Number 4 is Maddia's Witness Protection. You know anything about this one, Tim?
No, I can't believe it's even in the box office. I'm dumbfounded. But what do I know? I'm a web video guy, right?
Right, exactly. And Sarah wanted me before she came on the show. Said, I don't watch. She has no cable, so all she watches is old stuff. So if maybe some old stuff.
Speaking of old stuff, really sad news this week.
Yes.
Our buddy Andy Griffith died.
So sad.
86.
86 years old.
What a nice guy, though.
What
Really a legend.
Matlock. How could you get any more iconic than that?
Well, come on, Andy Griffith. That would be a little more iconic for me.
Well, yes, but that's he is one and the same.
It was very sad news, and what a life and what a career. And I think a lot of what he pioneered is still kind of the norm out there too, which is remarkable. And unfortunately, topping all of the top 10s of more reality shows, but America's Got Talent on broadcast television this week dominated the first 3 positions. The Olympics are probably going to be big, mainly because the U.S. Olympic trials, in between the CBS shows 60 Minutes, NCIS, and The Big Bang Theory, all in repeats again, were dominating the network broadcast at the moment. And what's funny, though, about another sporting event, which is the Tour de France, which is going on right now. And
yes.
Like Sarah, I cut most of my cable, not all of it, but enough to save some money because I wasn't watching it. And my wife's a big Tour de France fan, so we got the app for the iPad and the iPhone for $15.
Nice. Very cool.
She loves it. And the best part is that it works with AirPlay. So she wakes up in the morning, her iPhone is still in the charger, she hits the button, and it's on the TV first thing in the morning.
That's pretty cool.
Video quality's okay.
Tour de France on AirPlay. That's awesome.
It's great. And what's nice is that that frictionless AirPlay thing. This is the first time we've really used it in that way. I mean, I've used it for other stuff around the house, but it's the first time it's really fit a real consumer role for us with the Apple TV, and we're really impressed with it. The video quality is getting better too. It was kind of flaky at the start, but she can watch it live, the live stream right over AirPlay. So it's the future. We'll see how it goes.
You can tell her that I'll be over for a Tour de France date.
I will.
Nice.
I will let her know. And Brian in the chat room says there's a chat room on the YouTube channel, by the way, folks, that I am a big walled garden fan. Well, I am if it works. And in this case, it worked great, and I'm happy to pay for content that does work well.
Mm-hmm.
Cable shows. At number 10 is our friends at WWE. Storage Wars, American Pickers, again, looking at garbage.
I love Storage Wars. I just do.
You do?
I just do. It's horrible, but I love it. It's a guilty pleasure.
It is horrible.
You know what's funny about it is that I've never seen I've seen them get some good stuff, but the amount of work that they have to go through to get that one deal in the haystack.
It doesn't look like a career. And the married couple on the show, I cannot believe that woman is married to that guy. It's just,
I was thinking the same thing.
That makes great TV, right?
It does.
That's funny.
Good reality casting. So
yeah.
It really is. And up there also is Anger Management, which is on FX, along with Pawn Stars in the middle row there, 3 and 4. Rizzoli and Isles, number 6, if you missed that one. And the number 1 show this week was the BET Awards show on BET. So I
love that BET. ESPN, I think they have their ESPYs coming up, so I wonder if that'll make our charts. They're setting that up downtown Los Angeles right now at the next to the Staples Center. They're getting ready for that award show. Also, interesting thing that was announced at VidCon that will be interesting to see how YouTubers compare to regular TV is that YouTube is spending some money on marketing. They're going to throw some money at marketing.
That's good for those channels. Now, is that just the YouTube channels that they're promoting, Tim? Or?
They're going to promote any YouTube channel. They're going to throw $200 million at this. And I don't know if we have it in our show notes, but I think it's youtube.com send us your trailer. I think is the link. So you can, if you've made a trailer for your channel that you want them to promote, go ahead and email them the link.
Yeah, submit your trailer.
There it is. Sorry, submit your trailers. There we go. And that way they'll promote your show, your channel.
And what do you think they're looking for? What should someone think about doing here? Because obviously it runs the gamut.
I think that they should do a good job of making a trailer that explains what their show's about, what their channel's about, and why people would want to watch it. So, just if you can, what would be a really good idea is go to YouTube and Google upfront presentation, because that's what the studios do, is they basically make a trailer for the studios and networks. They make trailers for their TV shows, and it doesn't just explain what that episode's about, it explains what the whole show's about and where it's going to be going. And that's really helpful to a viewer.
And topping YouTube this week, nothing really all that intriguing, although there is one thing that I was fascinated with, because its trailer is in at number 5 this week. Number 1 is Ray William Johnson again and Smosh and all the people we talk about every week. But Halo 4, which is a video game, is coming out soon. But there's also a live action thing happening also here, and it's going to be an original web series, and it's going to be produced by Machinima.com, and the trailer for that, I believe, is Machinima.
Machinima.
Sarah, do you Machinima?
Can't say that I do.
So Machinima is now it started actually, I think, was like some Quake add-on. Actually, it was Halo that kind of started this whole thing, which was this
Red versus Blue,
right?
Yeah, which Bernie Sue is headed to. Bernie Burns is doing a Rooster Teeth conference in Austin, and the Rooster Teeth guys, Bernie Burns, that's who did Red versus Blue. I mean, that really started that Machinima movement. I wonder if they're doing one about Ann Curry getting
the boot.
They might.
The boot on the Today Show.
Big old boot.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about that, Sarah? Because now NBC's like talking about the fact that she didn't step up to whatever game that they wanted her to play.
Well, I used to work there, so we had
inside dirt for us here, or what?
I think that there's always going to be people who like Ann Curry or who dislike Ann Curry, and then along with the whole Today Show network news cast of characters. I didn't think she was their strongest.
I hear Savannah Guthrie's really broken up about Ann Curry leaving.
I'm sure she is, right? Is her career is moving up the ladder.
We found her crying in the green room the day
in her new dressing room.
That's horrible. But
co-anchor of the Today Show.
And this is a great example too, that we're still in this world where ratings matter on the network side. But someone like Ann Curry could say, you know what? Yeah, write me my $5 million check to get me out of this thing, and let me just go and start up my own thing up on the web. And I was surprised that Conan O'Brien didn't do that, or half a dozen other people in broadcasting haven't done. Howard Stern, granted, now the satellite radio paid him $100 million. He probably can't do that well on his own just yet. But why do they go back into the network fold? Why not take the money and go start something?
You look at Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck tried it, and without that promotion, I mean, that's why I'm saying this YouTube thing's a big deal. The reasons that networks are able to survive is that they can cross-promote, and without that cross-promotion, you're just in a situation where you're not going to get the viewers that you would normally get.
So I could see that being a real challenge here. So obviously $200 million will help some of these content creators get that cross-promotion that they might need. For someone starting out, how do you do it? What's the secret to getting that promotion going?
I think secret.
Yeah, I mean finding folks like you guys, and joining other independent creators. No matter how small the other creator might be, you're still banding together, and you have some audience, and so the cross-promoting your show with somebody else is a big thing. I mean, YouTubers have been doing it for a long time. In the podcasting days, French Made TV was doing it with Ask a Ninja. Did I just say that? What? But yeah, we did cross promotions for Revision 3 for Dig Nation. The French Maids appeared on that show, and Alex Albrecht from Dig Nation appears in a French Made TV episode where he gets arrested by the sexy police for illegally downloading music. So, it's been going on for as long as there's been radio, I guess.
Right.
I don't know if they did it back in the days of stage plays, but definitely in radio and television.
And I think what's really intriguing about all of this is that the people that are getting into this kind of content, and Sarah might be able to speak to this because she works with a lot of content creators here in Connecticut to try to get that cross-promotion going within our network that we're building. But, it's for a lot of folks that have been in broadcasting who've had that one job, which is to be a TV presenter, be a TV reporter, being a journalist. You've had one thing to focus on, and now you have to know the production. You have to know how to promote yourself. You have to know how to communicate yourself, sell yourself, market yourself, and do all the other work in between. And it's producing a lot of really talented people in a lot of different areas, and I think that's going to be an interesting step as they move ahead. Sarah, you've been working with a lot of journalists trying to get their websites started. What do you think has been their biggest hurdle beyond the technical problems, which are often many?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said, mastering the skills that are going to end up being a necessity for them to get the traffic and get their viewers and then get their content supported, which is good content, but to push it out and get people to continuously come back and be interested in their content. So, and it takes a lot of work and time to figure out what outlets are going to work and what's going to support you. And now the web is so full of things like Google Plus and YouTube, and you need to sort of mesh these all together and and be your one-man band and be a master at most of them, and successfully integrate them into your plan, your master plan, and promote it. It's a lot, and you got to keep updating.
Speaking of my master plan, I do need to run, guys.
Okay, Tim.
Fun chatting with you, and hey, maybe you guys can open it up to some folks in the audience.
Yes, we're going to try that again this time. We think there's a way to do it. So I'm going to take this link and put it into my Twitter. Tim, thanks again.
Bye.
You can find Tim on Twitter at @OneTimStreet. And Sarah, where can people find you before we try this experiment that will most likely go awry?
Google Plus.
And you can find me also on Google Plus, LONSEIDMAN, and on Twitter with that same name. And this episode of Behind the Video is a wrap. We will see you next week. Stories for this episode were compiled by producer Jason Perrier. Follow him on Twitter at JASONPERRIER. Behind the Video is a production of Ape Digital Incorporated and the Independent Media Network, LLC. All rights reserved.